Hey Laura, all right, we're going to take a little look at your solar return. So I cast the chart I actually did it for this upcoming, since your birthday's in April, for the city of, you said Minton, Alabama, so that's what we cast it for. And overall, the way that we're going to look at this, actually it's funny because I've got a friend whose birthday is really close to yours, and his planets fall in a lot of the same places, so I'm kind of familiar with the solar return. The thing that makes it different is the fact that we've got your birth chart as well. So we're going to see how it all lines up. Okay, first thing, if you ever want to study your solar return, the way you study it, first thing you look at in the solar return is check out the ascendant. Actually check out all the angles because it shows you the big major themes. It's the inner boy, the inner girl inside of you. So the inner boy is how you're going to do things for the year. Inner girl is how you're going to sort of receive things. The inner mother, inner father. So we've got, for the inner boy, so to speak, we have Virgo, and that's about healing. And that lands in your natal birth chart looks like it's right on the cusp of the second and the third house. The houses of survival, and let's see, that's at the 24th. It's actually in your third, so it's in the third house. Okay, the third house has to do with our personal view of the concrete world around us, and sort of how we play around with the way that we look at our place in our personal world. You've got Pluto there, so it can be an area of intense study and an area where we can have some things that we hold on to. We can be a little bit obsessive about things or have a hard time letting go of, especially relationships in particular, because Libra falls here, this idea that there's sort of something fated or destined that may have to do with relationship. But anyway, with Virgo as the rising for the year, we tend to focus on healing. And the ruler's Chiron, so the solar return Chiron falls into the seventh house, the relationship house. That's the house of the inner little girl. That's the anima house. And it's conjunct Venus exactly, which is the planet that rules this house. Fantastic year to heal your inner little girl. That a lot of times our inner feminine, see, and in your birth chart, your Venus, your little girl, is conjunct your south node, and it's in the 11th house. This disassociation from our needs, from our emotional sort of affection needs, from the fact that we're of value and of worth, and we're beautiful just as we are, with no need to sort of change who it is that we are. So this might be the thing this year that you work on. Now, because it's in the 7th house, there's a chance that you try to work on it through a relationship with someone, right? It is Pisces though, so hopefully that there's an element here of you also working with kind of your higher self, spiritually remembering your beauty and who you really are on a soul level. We then talk about the angle of the 4th house, so the IC, 25 degrees of Sagittarius. That's going to fall into, I believe, your 5th house. Let's see here. Yep, it falls into the 5th. That's the mothering the inner child. This is lovely. The 4th house is mothering energy. It's very parental. It's Sagittarius, and so it's positive and optimistic, and it's play, and it's mothering in a way where we let ourselves take classes or go try new things or go on a trip. You know, there's a theme here of it could even be 5th house can be romance too. You know, what happens though when we put the IC into the 5th? You got Neptune and North Node falling into the Pisces house, the 12th house. Like, if you were to think about this from the perspective of like flipping the charts, making the 4th house the first. And anyway, there's a little theme here of spirituality. It's the spiritual. It's more important that the spiritual side of things rather than the physical side are addressed this year. Kind of a year where some destined things might be happening for you related to the family, the relationship with the mother, mothering, parenting, all that stuff. Now, 7th house, descendant, this one's going to be Pisces. So that'll be falling in your 9th house, learning about relationship. You may have some people come into your space this year that are here to teach you about what it really means to be loved and to be lovable, and to be really good year to go to a seminar on relationship, on finding the soulmate, on finding the inner, because what it is as soon as your inner parts, your inner feminine, you know, your little girl, your inner little boy, your mother, your ability to care for yourself, the father part of you, the ability to kind of create discipline for yourself. And then once you know how to play and you know how to go after something you want, once these are all working, then like you become so beautiful that you're gonna have like, it's like you have to fight people off because there's a wholeness there, and it's quite lovely. And it doesn't feel like the black hole that some people feel like when they're needing love from their partner. That's felt energetically, especially when the moon is in the 12th house like you have natally. There's that need to be nurtured. When we can self-love and mother ourselves, that's when all of a sudden we become, everything on the outside is the same as it is on the inside. Our unconscious stuff is all, there's nothing hidden. The hunger goes away, and it just becomes, we're just beautifully celebrating life. So that's what it feels like you're going to be doing this year. Then your MC, which is the father energy. It's the discipline. It's the part of us. It's career related. How am I going to take care of myself? What are my goals? It's in Gemini. So that does say you're going to have 2 jobs this year. And Sagittarius on the 4th house says that you're going to have some sort of an improvement in your living situation. Saturn is here though. So maybe you're going to decide to move to a house. It could be a place that's smaller, but you can save money. There's an element here of you taking care of yourself when it comes to your emotional needs and also your sort of physical security needs, like where you live. Okay, so sort of parenting that part of you that needs to feel safe, protecting yourself in a sense. But anyway, Gemini up on the MC. So Gemini for you is going to fall into your 11th house. That is one where 11th house is sort of, it can be a little unpredictable, it can be a little difficult to, I'm sorry, I'm going to call. Thanks.
Thank you. My friends in the...
You can tell me later. Okay, sweetie. So with Gemini falling in the 11th, there's this association to the 11th house, and it's unpredictable, and it's one where it's very difficult for me to say, oh, you're going to do this year. It's sort of like you have to be free to be open to possibility. Mercury in your natal chart is in your 10th, and it's conjunct Chiron. So it almost feels like there's some healing that you need to do about career and work and your abilities and your capabilities. And once you do that, these other opportunities will open up for you. So if we were to go through your solar return month by month, the first month, April, is in the 8th house. So it tells us overall the theme for this year is transformation of self, surrendering to fate to a certain extent, like letting go of things that we hold on to compulsively and doing a lot of, it can either be a hard year where we hold on to stuff and really tightly and we won't let go, or it can be one where we can have sort of soul-changing experiences which move us to where we really, really want to be. It's a really beautiful year for a lot of Aries, by the way, a lot of the charts, because similar themes. Okay, Mercury here. Mercury is your worldview. It's your personal worldview. And conjunct the sun tells us that it's going to undergo a scorpionic death and rebirth. It comes back to this house of the mother and Pluto, the father, this mother-father energy and their control that they've had over you in your life, and sort of a bit of a slaying of the dragon that needs to happen this year. So if you've been living your life in a way because part of you unconsciously feels like it's to either please your parents or to receive their approval, or it's what you're supposed to do, quote unquote, society says what you're supposed to do. And if there's another dream that you really have that you haven't been pursuing, this is the year where you go for the dream, especially with Uranus conjoining with your sun this year. It's like the inner child has to come out to play, has to be free to fight back and rebel against the parents in the way that it never got to. Never got to have the ways that we didn't have our personal needs met in the past. That all kind of comes to the surface, but in really weird ways. So it's a really good year for surrender and letting go and like stepping into your path. There's a reason why you've had several astrology readings, because you're searching. You feel that there's a shift coming, a big shift. So you're indeed right. Okay, Ceres in the 8th. Ceres in Taurus is about how we feed ourselves. Feeding yourself through depth, going inside of yourself psychologically. Really great book that you might enjoy for this type of a year would be, it's called The Drama of the Gifted Child. And the title's a little misleading. It's not necessarily just about like gifted children per se. I think all children are gifted. It's about the relationship we have with our parents and how as adults it plays out in these archetypes and the way that the people we date and the way we live our lives. It's so good. It's audiobook on YouTube. Just look it up on YouTube. Okay, 9th house is going to be May. So the month of May for you, this ninth house month kind of theme of growth. Mars is here. There could be some travel that happens for you that month. Mars in Taurus is a little slow moving. So if you've got some new projects starting, we may feel like they're not moving quickly enough. And especially Mars is the ruler of not only your sun, but it's one of the rulers of your seventh house. It rules your Venus. So, or no, it doesn't. Your Venus is in Pisces. Sorry. It rules your Pallas, Athena, and your Uranus, of course. So we can feel like we want to get going on something, but it can feel like it's maybe going a little slow. And Mars is that male energy. It's the part of us that's going to take action and start something. So in the ninth house, that is a house of development, self-development. It's the house of our abstract understanding of the world around us, of existence. So you may have some good time to take a class or to read a book. It makes a nice little trine. Down to the fourth house, there's Pluto. So that's the house of the mother and the family. And Pluto is the dragon, by the way. Puff the Magic Dragon. Not so friendly, actually. It's shadow material. So it's activating something that's going to happen later in the year that has to do with the fourth house. So Mars in Taurus, ruled by Ceres, which you have, they're in the eighth house. And the way it might be a really good time with your money to save money, okay? Just FYI, with a Mars to Pluto, I would just say be prepared, have your insurance, have all your stuff kind of in order, okay? Like home insurance, or if you need to save money to move, you've got some time. There's a really cool app, a bank account. Have you ever heard of Simple? They've got this app that you can have on your phone. It's a bank. It's an online bank. It is the awesomest thing I've ever, for finances, it's so fantastic. It's just a regular bank. You have checks and, debit card and all that good stuff. But you can set goals and it will save money for you every day. So like, let's say you need to move in 5 months. It will let you set the goals. I need to save $2,000, and it will save like however much money each day so that you have that money by the date. It's really, really cool. Very handy. So just throwing that out there. Okay, now 10th house is the house of Capricorn, and this is the house of the father, society, sort of society's expectations, who we're supposed to be. It's a very important house for you because natally your sun and your Mercury are there. So very much the voice of the father is speaking is talking to you. And Chiron is there as well. There's a need to heal a wound. We need to heal ourselves. And Ceres is here as well. So there's even almost the suggestion of a somatic wound in your natal chart, sort of the male energy, the part of you that's going to take action. It's in Pisces in the eighth house. It's almost like it feels as though it might get stuck sometimes not knowing what to do. It might not know which direction to go without guidance from someone, in particular, like a male who's older or someone who you respect. So I feel like you got Gemini here in the 10th. So career, definitely there's a good chance you'll change jobs. Ruled by Mercury, which is back in the 8th, conjunct the sun, which to me says you're going to be thinking probably about changing jobs to do something that feels more you, like something that speaks to you, to your heart. But a Mercury in Taurus that's retrograde can be a little bit nervous about taking the leap. Okay, and ruled by a Ceres in the 8th in Taurus, it's going to think about all the things. It's time, okay, all the things that could go wrong, So I'm going to, by the way, I have to jump off this because I've got to take my kids somewhere, but I will do a part B when I get back. So I'm going to stop it in just 1 second. But Cancer here in the 10th does have to do with the mother, but this chart, you have a moon in Capricorn this year in the 4th house. And the part of you that needs to feel self-sufficient, it feels like you're almost going to like parent yourself or take care of yourself this year in a way that's really pretty powerful. Sort of stepping into, the 5th house, the inner child, allowing the inner child to follow his or her dreams, So it's pretty exciting. And so it does look like you'll break from what you're doing for work. You might work from home even. That's a possibility of business from home. That's the moon in Capricorn in the 4th. If that's something you wanted to do, you have things that suggest you definitely could. If you don't choose, then you'll be at work all the time. It will feel like you're living at work. So it's up to you to choose. That's Pluto in the 4th, by the way. You're either going to keep doing the thing you've been doing or break free and do something. You set Uranus to the sun this year, man. That's going to let you break free and go independently, go do your own thing. Okay, 11th house is the Aquarius house. This is going to be April, May, June, July time. We've got Cancer and Leo. So this is sort of the mother and the inner child energy. 11th house, there's not a whole lot happening in the 11th house. There's nothing in there. But your moon and your sun do form a square to each other. So it could be some little inner battles with the sense of security and wanting to feel safe and like we're doing the right thing with our decisions. It does feel like it's got something to do with your home situation, moving maybe, or do I start a business at home? Do I quit my job and start this business at home that I've wanted to start? The Sun and Aries part of you is probably going to win because it's in the 8th house and it's conjunct Uranus and Mercury's in there too. So you're probably going to do what you want to do this year and break free from those inner parental voices that say, ooh, that might not be safe, you know. You'll still feel it though. Moon in the 4th, you're going to feel, I need to feel safe. Maybe, and that's in Capricorn, you might turn yourself over even romantically to a partner or a fantasy of a partner coming and saving you and rescuing you. You don't get to do that. Okay, 12th house then is August. North Node is here. So August, it's the Pisces house. And so this could be make or break. You got Leo here, ruled by your sun. Big time for big transformation and healing and stepping into your personal power. A lot of surrendering. You got Virgo here, which is definitely about healing that month. And if you do the work, you have to do the work. Otherwise, you could walk through that whole month totally unconscious. It could be a very spiritual month, or it could be a month where you are just not at all conscious about. You're just going to work and coming home and Groundhog Daying it for the whole month. You know, if you decide to go inward and go into the places where you're uncomfortable, meditate, pray, journal, you know, do the work, then it can be a really healing month, getting in contact with your inner self. And it does have a lot to do with relationships. If you have a relationship that starts at some point after your birthday or even before your birthday, there's a good chance that when August comes that relationship will be ended because Chiron is in Pisces on the descendant. And that sort of indicates either there's a relationship that we release, that we heal from, or we just simply heal that part of us, the inner little girl that needs to feel loved and needs to feel beautiful and special. It's almost like we have to go inside of ourselves to get that sort of validation. Okay, now September we've got Virgo here, Jupiter's in the first house. That's lovely. That's the little boy energy, like how we take action, like we feel more confident. Jupiter in the first is like, okay, I feel good. I feel like I know how to do this. I know how to maybe do a relationship or find someone who's right for me, and I'm willing to like work on myself. And we've got a little square to Pluto, so there's still going to be these nagging, but I want to like feel safe and secure. If you have a boyfriend at this point and he wants you to move in with him, that could happen also, by the way. You may have a dilemma of having to decide to maintain your independence or like jumping into something too soon. It's possible. This T-square can be a little tricky that you have happening. It goes back to the inner child being true to who you are and authentically you and not falling back on doing what you think you're supposed to do or what someone else wants you to do. Okay, I'm going to have to stop right here because I got to take my kids to drop them off at a movie, which is obviously starts in a few minutes. So I'll be back and we'll finish up part B.